you back in my geography class. Today we will continue with the chapter of manufacturing industries of class 10. In our earlier video, we have discussed about the concept of manufacturing. We have discussed about the importance of manufacturing, about the relationship of agriculture with industry, and also we have discussed about the contribution of the industries to national economy. Now, when we talk about industries, we must remember that we cannot establish or locate any industry wherever we want to. Industries are dependent on certain factors, and if those factors are fulfilled, then only in that place industries can be located. So today we are going to discuss about the factors that affect the location of industries. So let's get started. The factors that affects the location of industries are the physical factors, and the human factors. Now let us talk about the physical factors. Now under physical factors, we can say raw material is the most important factor that affects the location of industries. Now factories should be located close to the source of raw materials. That means we can say that factories should be located close to the location of raw materials, as a factory cannot run without raw materials, so the factories need to be located close to the location or source of raw materials. For example, if we talk about the heavy and bulky industries like the iron and steel industries. Now, as we know that iron and steel industry is a heavy and bulky industry, so it is not possible to carry the raw materials to far distances. So the iron and steel industry is mostly located near the areas where the raw materials are located. That means they are located close to the source of the raw materials. Now if you talk about the sugarcane industries, as we know that sugarcane is a weight losing industry as well as it is a heavy industry. Now if the sugar factory is located away from the sugarcane field, then what will happen? The sucrose will get dried up and we will not get the sucrose content that is required for the manufacturing of sugar. So that is why we need to have the factories located close to the location of raw materials. Now let us move ahead with the next physical factor, that is water. Water is another important factor that determines the location of industries, because water is required for various industrial processes. So we will notice that mostly the industries are located close to a source of water, either a river or a canal or a lake. Why? Because water is required for various industrial processes. Water is also important because rivers, waterfalls, they generate hydroelectricity, which is used by the industries. Now let us move ahead with the next physical factor. The other important factor that affects the location of industry is climate. So climate is another important factor that affects the establishment of industries. Now, harsh climate is not at all suitable for the establishment of industries. Industries are not at all possible to locate in the areas of extreme climates like extreme hot, cold, humid or dry climates. Now suppose let us take the example of the northwest India, where we have extreme type of climate, and this hinders the industrial development or the development of industries here in this region. Now if we talk about the west coastal area, here we have moderate type of climate, and this is quite congenial to the development of industries. So we can understand that the northwestern region of India, as because there we have extreme type of climate, so this hinders the development of industries in this region. Whereas if you talk about the west coastal area where we have moderate type of climate, so it is quite congenial to the development of industries. Now if we talk about the cotton textile industries, we will see that cotton textile industries need humid climate. Why? Because the thread will break in dry climate. So we can say that climate plays a very important role in the establishment of industries. Now let us move ahead with the next physical factor. The next physical factor is market. Market is another important factor. Markets should be available locally or nearby so that the processed products can be sold at higher prices and more profit can be earned. So the market should be available locally or nearby so that the manufactured products can be easily transported to the market at minimum transportation cost. The next physical factor is transport. Transport plays very important role. So transport is another important factor. Now without transportation, how the raw materials will reach the factory and how it will be processed and how we will get the output. So the very important factor for the location of industry is transport. Transportation and communication network should be well developed so that raw materials can be easily exported to the factory, and from the factory it can be processed and we can get the output, and we can transport the output to the market at minimum transportation cost. So transportation network should be well developed. So these are the physical factors. Now let us talk about the human factors. Let us talk about the human factors. Under the human factors, the most important is labor. Now the modern industries need a large number of labor. So we can say that they are labor intensive. They require laborers in large number. Cheap laborers are required. Skilled and technical expertise is also required. We can say that modern industries are labor intensive, which requires cheap laborers in large numbers. There are industries like the high-tech industries which requires skilled and technical expertise. So they need to be located at locations where suitable skilled laborers are available. Now let us move ahead with the next factor. The next factor is capital. Capital means money, and this is very important because without the capital, how we will obtain the raw materials, how we will pay the wages of the labor, the whole process of manufacturing is dependent upon capital. So capital plays a very important role in determining the location of a factory. The next factor is government policies. Industrial development is encouraged in some areas and it is restricted in some areas. Now, if government want to encourage and want to establish the industries in the backward or the tribal areas, so the government needs to provide financial support. How? By low rent, low tax rate, and other assistance needs to be provided so that industries can develop in the backward and tribal regions. So these are the physical and human factors that affect the location of industries. Now, all these physical factors and human factors are important determinants that affects the location of any industry. Now, let us see that how all the factors are linked with each other. Here we have inputs, the raw materials, we have the factors of production, labor, land, capital, infrastructure, entrepreneur. This will be transported where? To the factory. From there we will get the output, and this output will be again transported where? To the market. And all this is not possible without money. That means capital. We can understand that how all the factors are interrelated with each other and how all the factors affect the location of industries. Now, so where industries will be located? Industries will be located where all these factors are available, or where all of these factors can be arranged at low cost. Now, it is not quite feasible that all the factors will be available at one place. So, in that case, where the industry will be located? The industry will be located in that place where all these factors can be arranged at low cost. So, what we can see is that least cost factor is the most dominating factor that affects the location of industry. Now let us find out the reason that why least cost factor is the most dominating factor. Least cost factor plays the most dominating role in the ideal location of the industries. Now let us find out the reasons. What are the reasons? Number one, cost of obtaining raw materials should be minimum. That means that if the raw materials will be available locally or it will be transported from the nearby areas, then the cost of obtaining raw materials will be minimum and it will not increase the cost of production. So the raw materials should be available locally or transported from nearby areas. Now, which is the number two reason? Cost of production at site. There are certain factors on which the production depends on, like the land, as we talk about the power or the electricity, then we talk about the labor. Now, if all these are available locally and readily, then the cost of production will be low. So, cost of production at site should be low. How? The laborers trained and experienced should be available locally or in the nearby areas. Electric power supply should be readily available. And what else? We also need the land. The land on which industry will be established should be available at cheaper rate. So the cost of production at site should be low. How it will be low? When the laborers, trained and experienced laborers, will be available locally or from the nearby areas. Electric power supply will be readily available, and also the land on which the industry will be established should be available at cheaper rate. Now let us find out what are the other reasons. The third reason is cost of distribution at site. Now we have the raw materials, we have capital, machines, and we have manufactured the raw material and processed it into the final product. Now the final product needs to be distributed or transported where? To the market. Now if the market is located far away from the factory, then the transportation cost will increase, and this will lead to increase in the overall production cost. That is why the factory should be located close to the market and the manufactured product should be distributed or transported in the market at least cost by rail, road or water transport. So this is why least cost factor plays the most dominating role in the ideal location of the industries. We have the cost of obtaining raw materials at site, cost of production at site, cost of distribution at site, and decision to locate industry at site. So the ideal location of the industry is dominated by the least cost factor. Now let us know that how industrialization and urbanization are related to each other. Let us move ahead with the topic of industrialization and urbanization. Now let us understand the relationship between industrialization and urbanization. After an industrial activity starts, urbanization follows. That means when there will be establishment of industries, it will lead to the growth of cities or towns. So we can say that when industries will be established, it will lead to growth of cities and towns. Now, when industries will be established, it will need labor, and this will create employment opportunities. Now, to carry the raw materials to the industry and to transport the manufactured good to the market, we need transportation. So, with the establishment of industries, transportation and communication will also develop, and this will help in the formation of settlement, which will lead to the growth of towns and cities. So what we can understand is that with development of industries, it will lead to growth of cities and towns. We will also see that industries are also located in or near cities. Thus, we can say that industrialization and urbanization go hand in hand. Now, let us see that how cities help industries. City provides market to the industries. It also provides different services like banking, insurance, transport, labor, consultant, financial advice, and etc. We will see that many industries comes together to make the use of advantages shared by the urban centers and are called agglomeration economies. Gradually, a large industrial agglomeration takes place. Now, in the pre-independence period, we will see that industries are located in the places from the point of view of overseas trade like Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata. We have also seen that there are urban centers which are industrially developed, and they are surrounded by the agricultural, rural hinterland. In today's video, we have discussed about the factors that affect the location of industries along with the relationship between industrialization and urbanization. I hope you people have understood the topics that have been explained in today's video very well. If you have any problem, you can let me know by commenting in the comment box given below. You can take the help of the PDF that has been attached in the description box, which will make your chapter more easier. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and do hit the like button. Stay tuned. I will be back soon with a new video. Till then, take care and study well. Thank you.